Hi, everyone. My name is Qing Wu, and I'm an economist based in the headquarters. So I got invited here to talk about query trends. I've been Google for many years. I spent most of my time actually studying query trends and auction models. And I'm really interested in what's driving, why a query is going in certain directions. So it could be economy, it could be user behavior change, and it also could be like sudden events. Usually the death of big celebrities would create big spikes. Actually, one of my most important discoveries is weather. And not surprisingly, what do you think of cold weather is going to affect Google? Yeah, it's raining, it's snowing, people stay home and search. It's hot, everybody goes outside, nobody searches. So that was one most important discovery in Google so far in my 7 years tenure. But because I could actually statistically compute every degree increase how much queries we're going to get. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm here actually talking about Google query trends. We have this wonderful tool called Google Insights. How many of you guys have used Google Insights before? You guys are very techy people, so half the people here actually know about it. Anyway, so I'm going to showcase Google Insights and also some of the applications as well. But first, we're going to have some fun before getting too serious. I want to ask a question. When do you think in the US the biggest day of alcohol sale? Which day of the year?
Black Friday. Super Monday.
No. Where do you think the spike is? The red spike, it's actually vodka's queries. It's on the New Year's Eve. So most people actually were looking for alcohol for the New Year's Eve first. But then what happened the day after? It's the hangover query trend. So they got really drunk the day before, they had a big hangover next day, so they need to find a recipe to recover. They already happened during those 2 days. The spikes are very prominent. And then what do you think of their normal weeks? When do they drink? When do they recover? Saturday and Sunday. I'm trying to pull this same trend for Israel. I couldn't quite find the same trend. I think here we have a very different kind of behavior. So basically, this just showcased how Google Query Insight Trends is such a great place to read human behavior. This is much harder to do in the past, but now because so many people are moving online and looking for information, in Query Trends, it's a great place to understand the world. And I have a famous sentence, it's quoted by some book. I said, Google Query Trends is a barometer of the world. Second story I want to tell. So basically, I'm going to tell a fun story. What is that about? Okay, yes, Madonna. So I came in on Friday night, and my taxi driver picked me up, and he was complaining about the traffic jam. I was like, why? He was like, oh, Madonna's in town. Oh, I had no idea. So curiously enough, I decided to go to the Google Insights, and for Israel, I typed in Madonna, and here's what I find for the Google Query Trends in the last 4 or 5 months. So there are actually 2 big spikes, and there's a little tiny spike, and we have this great feature to tell you what news articles might be in those different spikes. The first one actually happened in early February. So don't read the news articles yet. So what do you think of what's causing that big spike in Israel? What? No. Do you know about big games in US? And do you remember she performed in the big game? Super Bowl, sorry. No, yeah, big game is usually called, Super Bowl performance. So apparently, even though she performed in the Super Bowl, it's a very, very American event. There are enough fans here in Israel actually were looking for information, videos, whatever about her performance. So that created the first spike. But the last spike was much larger. I think that was closely correlated to her, world tour starting in Israel. There's also a small event, and that's marked by B. I think it's due to, I think Detmol 5 was accusing her something. I think they were arguing, so that caused a lot of queries as well. So this also showcased, this is a kind of zeitgeist reading of the events in the world. So this is just another kind of good story to tell about Google Insights. Anyway, so what else can we do with the Google Insights? We also have this wonderful feature, actually, in Google Insights. We classify the queries into verticals or categories. This category actually have at most 5 levels. Here, I'm just pull out some examples about travel. And under travel, you have air travel, so you can just drill down further and further. And the curve you see here is actually the travel trend. So in Israel, the travel really sort of spiked in the summer, and then started to fall in the winter. So this is just sort of reflects the travel behavior in Israel. Not only that, we can also use Google Insights to monitor the new products and the gadget trends, fashion trends. How many of you know about this female fashion trend called feather hair extension? Last summer, for some strange reason, all these North American women started to put feather on their hair to extend it as a sort of fashion trend. And of course, no fashion retailers carry these feathers. So where did they find them? It turned out, fishermen actually used the feather for the fishing poles. And so these women ran to these fishing equipment stores and bought them all until this fisherman really, really complained because they couldn't find them at all because women just, bought them all. And if you type this keyword into Google Insights, you will see this trend ramps up last summer, peaked in July, and started coming down when summer ended. So if I'm a fashion retailer, you're like, great, I would make a lot of money if I buy a lot of feathers and sell them to the women this year. But look at what happened. We're already in the May time right now, and that trend was totally dead. For some strange reason, again, women just not into this year. So if you are a retailer who bought a lot of the feathers, you're going to be in big trouble. So I encourage retailers to use the insights data to understand the fashion trend. It's a great place to know a lot of information ahead of time. So another story I want to tell actually is about costumes. So in U.S., Halloween costumes are very big sales for some of the vendors. And in Israel, I think there's a different kind of festival, the Purim, right? So if you guys recall, what's the most popular costume this year? Angry Birds. All right, you got it. So for 2 or 3 years, actually for the last 3 years, I've been supplying the top Halloween costume list a month ahead of time to our news program. Actually, there's a news program called Good Morning America. So we've been supplying this list like a few weeks before the Halloween because we can go to our query trends report and figure out what's the most popular top 10 Halloween costume this year. We predict them. And turned out last year was Angry Birds, number 1. But number 2 is Black Swan. Was Black Swan popular here as well? Yes. So it turned out it's a scary, sexy costume for women, so they just loved that costume. So it turned out to be number 2. And there are a lot of other ones are correlated to pop culture and movies and etc. So this is, once again, a great reading of pop culture as well, right? So I think we have enough fun so far. I want to get a little more serious because I'm actually an economist. That's not what I spend time working on. I spend most of the time actually trying to understand economy, what's going on. Is it going to affect us, and what our Google's performance is going to be like next quarter or next year. And so Google Insights, once again, is a great place to glean some information. I think a couple of years ago, my boss, Hal Varian, who's our chief economist, and one of my colleagues published this paper called Predict the Present. So they started this whole series of work that's been used by many different countries to use Google Insights to understand economy a little bit faster. Because pretty much every country has a central Bureau of Statistics, right? They collect a lot of statistics and try to understand what the consumer sentiment is like, what the housing price is like, what unemployment rate is like. But these kind of indicators are usually released every quarter, sometimes every month, because there's so much work to figure this out. So we decided, I think Google Query Trends actually can help you to understand what's going on in the economy a little faster. So we came up with this work called Predict per Present Nowcasting framework. So what we try to do here is we use the official data of the last period and then incorporate it with the Google Insights and plus some other variables to predict next period a little earlier. So we discovered that we can improve forecast accuracy compared to baseline model, and it also really allows much faster update and reading of the official data. So before I came here, my colleagues in Israel sent me some of the indicators in Israel. So they want to ask me, can you do a better prediction job, beat the official release. So one thing they wanted me to do is I think in Israel now, everybody's worried about the housing bubble, right? Because the house price went up a lot. And everybody's talking about, is that going to fall, going to burst in the next few months? Can you say something about it? So basically what I did, I pulled out the data. The dark curve you see here is the house price for the last 5 years. So between 2007 and 2008 was pretty flat. And after the recession, it started to bounce back so strong, and finally started to slow down a little bit from, I think, beginning of 2011, pretty much plateaued since then. So the verticals we find that are correlated with the house price, not surprisingly, are property development and real estate agencies. So now you can look at the red curve and compare to the dark curve, see the correlation and the relationship between them. So basically, there isn't that much property development queries when the housing price is really low and stable. And then, right before the price took off, we saw a lot of development movements, and it was pretty high for like 2 or 3 years when the price was going up so strong. But then, the interesting thing you find out is the development actually fell a little earlier than the price change. So basically, this property development behavior it's actually can foretell the price changes here, which also kind of makes sense, right? Because when people start to develop property less, the price start to fall. And then the second thing is real estate agencies. Of course, when price climbs, there's a lot of transactions, a lot of movements. So real estate agencies got pretty busy. But then all of a sudden, I think when the tent movement and the Occupy movement started, that whole thing just fell really fast. And then also corresponding to the timing of the price changes. So using these two inside verticals, I could build up some statistical model with time lags, with auto regressions, so I could find out what the price can be like for the next period. So basically, I'm showing the blue line is my prediction. Once again, it's called 1 period ahead prediction of the housing price based on the Google Insights data and the original price history. So basically, look at this. What I'm going to say for sure is I think in Q2, which is this quarter, the price seems to be pretty stable. I'm not seeing a sudden drop, even though the official data is not out yet. But based on my model, I'm claiming the price for this quarter is probably going to be flat. So what's going to happen from 6 months ahead for now? Unfortunately, I could not tell that because our model has its own limitations. Anyway, so that pretty much concludes my presentation here today. If you have any questions, you can approach me after this. All right? Thank you. Oh, I have a summary slide I haven't forgot. All right, you can apply one more time. Anyway, so I do have some more stories to tell. I just forgot. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to summarize the Google Insights applications here in my very last slide. You can use the insights for sales trend, monitoring new products, Nowcast economy. But I think there are also other applications you can think of, since everybody knows about this wonderful application by now. So one thing you can use is measure the effectiveness of your advertising campaigns. Find out your queries increase or not. The very last one is, a lot of people asked me, can you actually use the Google Insights data to play stock market to gain some competitive advantage, since you might be able to know information ahead of time? Number one, I have never done that myself. I think it's a lot of work. Number two, it's up to you. But once again, I won't bet on it. All right. Sorry, one more prompt. Bye.